Justin says that Blake was determined to make him the real-life villain in her story because she wasn't doing well on the promo tour for the movie. It was very tone deaf. Her hair care line wasn't doing well. She was trying to sell booze while talking about domestic violence.
And that she and her husband are bullies, and now it's resulted in vicious cross litigations against both of them. The New York Times is being sued for defamation by Baldoni.
$400 million is a lot of money, and it looks like he's taking down Blake, Ryan Reynolds, and their publicist Leslie Sloan.
Justin Baldoni just slapped a $400 million lawsuit on Blake Lively after she tried to defame him with fabricated accusations.
And that she and her husband are bullies, and now it's resulted in...
Blake is yet another black stain on the 81% of women who actually face harassment, many of whom are silenced by being called liars. And now she's proving exactly how it's done, an absolute disgrace.
So she's a serial fraudster. That's called fraud.
On January 17th, 2025, Baldoni filed a brutal lawsuit accusing them of defamation, civil extortion, invasion of privacy, and contractual interference, which, let's be real, is just a fancy way of saying they played every dirty trick in the book to sabotage his career and steal his film.
In Hollywood, my own position is she's absolutely ruined her brand. She has started a fight she cannot win. She does appear like an Amber Heard to me. I have yet to see one of her complaints borne out. In fact, all of the ones I've seen have been undermined by his hardcore proof in text messaging and so on that puts a totally different light on her horrific allegations. Then you see what she actually said and wrote.
And who was leading this whole Hollywood smear campaign? None other than Leslie Sloan, Ryan Reynolds' PR puppet master, who apparently thinks fabricating media narratives is just another Tuesday.
$400 million is a lot of money, and it looks like he's taking down Blake, Ryan Reynolds, and their publicist Leslie Sloan.
This lawsuit is not just about money, it's about exposing how Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds tried to gaslight an entire industry into thinking they were the good guys while Baldoni was painted as the villain. And oh boy, do the 180 pages of emails, texts, and secret backroom deals in this case tell a different story. It all started in May 2023 when It Ends With Us went into production. Now, Blake wasn't just showing up to play her role. No, that would have been too easy. Instead, she orchestrated a full-blown coup to seize control of the movie's creative direction. Because why just act in a film when you can bulldoze the actual director and make it all about yourself? And she didn't stop there.
Justin says the war between himself and Blake really started in May 2023 when they started shooting the movie. He claims that she was organizing a takeover strategy as they battled for creative control.
And when Baldoni refused to be steamrolled, Blake switched to Plan B, the Fake Victim Act. She accused him of sexual harassment, which, let's just be real here, is a career-ending accusation that she clearly used as a weapon. But here's the kicker. Leaked texts and emails prove this was all a calculated move to make him look bad.
And he claims none of that is true. There was absolutely no harassment. Those are made up claims. She wrested his movie away from him and decided to try to hurt him with petty, made up, out of context complaints.
Blake wanted total creative control, and when Baldoni pushed back, she cried wolf. And for someone who was so passionate about this film, you'd think she'd, I don't know, actually read the book? Nope. Instead of doing any real research on her character, she Googled her hair color and called it a day. A true cinematic visionary. But the real Hollywood horror movie happened when Blake rewrote the film's pivotal rooftop scene, without any actual writing experience, of course, and then ambushed Baldoni at her penthouse, expecting him to bow down and accept her masterpiece. And just in case he had any second thoughts, she brought Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift into the conversation like some kind of Game of Thrones power move.
It's very different. She called herself Khaleesi and said Ryan Reynolds and we believe Taylor Swift were her dragons, and she's got the best dragons because they'll fight on behalf of her friends too.
And let's talk about that for a second. She literally referred to Ryan and Taylor as her dragons. Yes, you heard that right. Blake sees herself as some kind of Khaleesi of Hollywood, using her fire-breathing A-list connections to pressure people into submission. And if that's not the most delusional thing you've ever heard, I don't know what is.
Now, in one message, Blake describes Taylor Swift and Ryan Reynolds with a Game of Thrones reference, saying, "I'm Khaleesi, and like her, I happen to have a few dragons. We all benefit from those gorgeous monsters of mine.
But Blake's dictatorship wasn't just about forcing her way into screenwriting. She went full hostile takeover mode. When Baldoni refused to let her butcher his film, she mobilized Hollywood elites, weaponized the media, and twisted the industry's arm until Sony completely sidelined him. The director of the movie was suddenly nothing more than an afterthought because Blake decided she needed to be the actress, the director, the editor, and the PR queen, all at once.
And then she had the nerve, because she had like 2 minutes of bad publicity when the film hit, to come out and try to blame it all on him. None of it was just due to the fact that she seems like a rather shitty person.
And then we get to Ryan Reynolds, the Hollywood yes man of the year. Let's not pretend he was just some innocent bystander supporting his wife. No, he was the enforcer. He wasn't just on board with Blake's hostile takeover, he was actively bullying Baldoni into submission. Case in point, the fat-shaming lie. Baldoni, like any responsible director, asked his personal trainer for Blake's weight because, he had to physically lift her in a scene. Pretty normal, right? Not according to Ryan Reynolds, who stormed in, screamed at Baldoni, and accused him of body-shaming his wife. And what did Baldoni do? He apologized for literally doing his job. You'd think that would be enough, but no. Ryan took it a step further, demanding entire film scenes be rewritten to fit Blake's fantasy version of the script, even though test screenings showed Baldoni's version performed better. That's right, audiences literally liked Baldoni's cut more, but Ryan and Blake threw a tantrum until Sony caved.
He also calls out her husband for getting involved in the writing of the script. He says Blake had done a rewrite of the film's critical rooftop scene where the main characters meet, and they had a meeting at Blake and Ryan's penthouse to discuss it.
And if you thought Baldoni was at least treated with a shred of dignity at his own premiere, think again. Blake and Sony allegedly locked him in the basement. Yes, you read that right. The actual director and producer of the film wasn't even allowed to see the final cut of his own damn movie. Meanwhile, Blake strutted around like she had just directed Oppenheimer instead of butchering a romance film she didn't even bother to read the book for. And because Hollywood is filled with spineless clout chasers, Ryan Reynolds led the great unfollowing of Baldoni on Instagram. First, Blake and Ryan ditched him, then the entire cast followed suit, proving once again that most actors would sell their souls for a photo op with an A-lister.
Is accused of having turned the whole cast of It Ends With Us against Justin. By the time they premiered the movie, Ryan Reynolds had unfollowed him on Insta, so had Blake, so had the rest of the cast.
And the cherry on top, Blake had the audacity to blame Baldoni for the film's failure. After stealing his movie, rewriting the script, kicking him out of the premiere, running a smear campaign, and turning the entire industry against him, she still couldn't take accountability for the dumpster fire she created. And let's be real, this movie was doomed the moment Blake decided she was a writer, director, and feminist icon all in one. But the biggest red flag of all, Blake has a history of this manipulative behavior. A 2009 interview just resurfaced where she admitted to poisoning the Gossip Girl cast against Penn Badgley simply because she didn't like him at first. Read that again. She actively turned an entire cast against her own co-star for absolutely no reason.
She admitted to trying to poison the cast of Gossip Girl, which is where she made her name, against her co-star Penn Badgley, who played her love interest, Dan Humphrey, on the show. She said, "At first I was so upset that they had hired him, I actually poisoned the whole cast against him."
And what's happening now? Lietten Meester, Penn Badgley, and the rest of the Gossip Girl cast are staying completely silent about this lawsuit. They're not defending her. They're not backing her up. They know exactly who she is, and they want nothing to do with it. When the people who worked with you the longest are keeping their mouths shut, that says everything. And then there's Ryan Reynolds, the man who somehow fumbled his golden reputation. He's always been Hollywood's favorite snarky, family-friendly brand ambassador, but now his involvement in this scandal is tainting everything he touches, including Deadpool. Disney is already struggling with that franchise, and the last thing they need is Ryan's PR mess leaking into Marvel territory.
I think the real victim in all of this is Ryan Reynolds.
I was gonna say the same thing.
Like, he's coming home, he's trying to sell some cell phone plans, he's trying to sell some gin, and she's like, "I need your help, little dragon. We're gonna ruin people today."
It's like, all I do is buy soccer teams that win.
Because let's be real, this is the guy who helped orchestrate a Hollywood takedown, bullied a director, manipulated a studio, and then turned around and played the victim. If Disney thinks they can just slap a Deadpool logo on this mess and make it disappear, they're in for a rude awakening.
She's like, "I need you to get on a Zoom with Taylor Taylor Swift, and we're ruining lives tonight.
Be very, very careful with your marriages, folks. This is the kind of
Little
thing that can happen.
dragon.
And now, the big question. What happens next? Baldoni isn't backing down. He's got hospital records, leaked texts, and industry insiders all coming forward to support him. The lawsuit is going to trial unless Blake and Ryan cut a deal, which at this point seems inevitable because the receipts are stacking up against them faster than Blake's failed business ventures. In Hollywood, they're watching closely because this case isn't just about Baldoni, it's about whether or not actors can keep manipulating PR to get away with whatever they want. And let's be real, Blake's Hollywood career is on life support. Studios don't want to touch actors who bring this kind of nuclear level drama to a production. Blake's entire PR craft America's sweetheart image is gone, replaced with a reputation for lies, manipulation, and backstabbing. She wanted power, well, she just lost all of it. This wasn't just a couple fighting for creative control. This was a full-blown Hollywood hit job, orchestrated by two egomaniacs who thought they could gaslight an entire industry into believing they were the victims. Blake and Ryan weren't just playing dirty, they were rewriting the rules entirely. Blake and Ryan thought they could rewrite reality, but the truth is out, and it's uglier than their PR spin. Stay tuned for more Hollywood takedowns, and if you love exposing the fakes, subscribe now, because we're just getting started.